So here is the big news and the worst kind of news that you could imagine in this part of the world and the world beyond this part of the world. The whole world is now struck by Israel's attack of the Iranian nuclear facilities. The attacks, as we speak to you, continue to unfold. The latest is that apart from the early morning, late night attacks that unfolded, you have a new wave of attacks also undergoing. The city of Tabriz is under attack. Israel, through Netanyahu, has spoken and said that this is just the beginning of a long war, and we are not going to rest till Iran's capability to process anything that is related to nuclear is neutralized. If you were to go by the tweet made by Donald Trump, he seems to be milking the situation to his advantage, or trying to milk the situation to his advantage, offering Iran a deal on the nuclear front, about which 6 rounds of talks have already taken place, and none has produced the kind of results that Trump was hoping for. He's still saying that death and destruction is going to be coming your way. You need to take the deal as soon as possible before there is nothing left. If you were to use the baseline of analysis, this tweet, you would imagine what sort of attack is coming Iran's way. It's not just the attack on their nuclear installations, their delivery systems, their enrichment facilities, their research centers and reactors. It is also an attack on their core of decision-making, the head of the Revolutionary Guard, the head of the armed forces, the head of the nuclear scientist pack that is behind Iran's nuclear efforts. They have all been killed, of course, replaced promptly by people who have now taken charge. But the threat, even on their heads, continues to loom very large. So far, there are civilian casualties as well. This is an expansive, and very expensive kind of a war. If you were to look at the global reaction, you would be struck by the fact that while America continues to warn Iran of consequences, it is also trying to detach itself from the Israeli attacks. Marco Rubio's statement is abundantly clear. It doesn't want Iran to think that Washington was in on it or it assisted Israel in any significant way, because Iran had said that if they found evidence of U.S. assistance to Israeli attack, then they would be striking all the military bases or some of the military bases that are well within their reach. And U.S. has a very strong footprint around Iran's borders in the Gulf region and beyond. But the U.S. Seems to be wary of that fact and doesn't want to be tagged along Israel. So therefore, they're saying it was a go-alone kind of an operation that Netanyahu planned. The British Prime Minister has also spoken. These are also measured words, but still not the kind of words that we are used to hearing from London as far as Israel is concerned. That is total endorsement. This one is not total endorsement. They're talking about restraint. The UN Secretary General has spoken, talking about restraint. IAEA has spoken, though IAEA has been part and parcel of the problem that Israel created for Iran through this attack. By sharing that information that Iran was sharing with them in total confidence. That information went to Israel, and Iranians now believe that IAEA is part and parcel of the problem. But even they are talking about the need for restraint. So there is massive reaction to this attack, and its implications are going to go beyond Iran's borders, beyond the region itself. Look at the way the stock markets are reacting. They are really on a downward trend. Some of the stock markets, including Pakistan stock markets, had to suspend their business for a little while in order to stabilize it. Look at the oil prices, where they're going in the exact opposite direction to where the stock markets are going upward. And if Iran were to expand its response, and this war expands and involves other areas, a lot of trade that passes through the Strait of Hormuz, the Gulf of Oman, even beyond the Bosphorus Strait and other areas, Suez Canal included, you would find global trade and shipping actually choking. There are billions of dollars worth of commerce activity that takes place through these areas which are adjoining Iran, which is now under attack. So the global reaction is massive based on these repercussions. For Iran, however, it is an existential threat. They have been attacked inside their areas before as well. There have been attacks on their spy chiefs. There have been attacks on the visitors, like Ismail Hania was killed on their soil. But the scale of this attack is truly remarkable, and therefore also very, very strategically embarrassing for them. So when Israel now leaks news that we knocked out your scientists, we knocked out your military personnel, we knocked out your key people in the decision making by installing systems inside your territory, that is telling them how deeply influential we are in terms of creating our own network right under your nose. And then on top of it, they have been hitting Iran's nuclear facilities as well, and the entire supply chain of the nuclear facilities. That's very important. The components, if you were to recall the Bandar Abbas attack where the ship went up, that was a component that was meant for enrichment facility. So the supply chain was attacked, enrichment facility has been attacked, research reactors have been attacked, and delivery systems have been attacked. So Iran has to react. But react with what? And to what extent? That's the main concern. Israel has the Iron Dome system installed, the short-term, the medium-term, and the long-term missiles that can intercept any missiles coming their way. It also has a remarkable facility and facilitation available in terms of intel sharing with the US. That facility is available. Iran's delivery systems, missiles, have been thoroughly degraded over a long period of time. There have been sabotage activities and direct attacks. So Iran's ability to respond, not in kind, but in an effective way, is completely compromised. So it will be very important to watch out what Iran does. Normally, areas around Israel would have erupted, but Israel, through its brutal oppression and killing in Gaza, has been able to downgrade and cause damage to the Iran-affiliated groups like Hezbollah and Hamas. So therefore, Iran's ability to create problems for Israel and also pay them back in some coin, if not in the same coin, is going to be on the radar, and everybody would be looking at it. And if this ability is assessed to be near zero or ineffectual, then Israel's war is going to expand. So you have a situation where Israel is bent upon creating more trouble, striking deep inside Iran, downgrading their facilities, and also challenging the very basis of Iran's pride and policy and politics, which is their ability to defend their citizens and defend their borders and defend their key installations. And Iran now committing itself to a harsh response, and you have Donald Trump administration sitting next to them, trying to wean Iran away from a nuclear path and suggesting them a deal. If Iran were to accept a deal at this point in time, most analysts agree that it will be a big loser, simply because it will not be able to respond effectively to Israel. That's one big down for them. Number two, it will be seen to be negotiating from a total position of weakness, sitting on the table with Donald Trump. And then if they were to agree to a deal that compromises their nuclear capability or their ability to process uranium, enrich uranium, even for civilian purposes, then it will be considered a diplomatic defeat as well. So a military defeat, a diplomatic defeat on the military realm, on the negotiating table, and then this will translate into a massive domestic reaction as well. Iran's heart has been attacked. Iran has to respond. Does it have the capability to do it? Does it have the spirit to hold back on the tempting carrot being dangled before them by Trump administration of taking the deal? And if it doesn't take the deal and can't react to Israel, what does Iran do? This is the biggest question dominating headlines at this point in time. We sitting in Pakistan are watching these developments very carefully. I will bring more to you about Pakistan's situation, but just to let you know that Pakistan is faced with a pretty tight neighborhood at this point in time. You have Afghanistan bordering Pakistan in chaos and a pretty untrustworthy situation as far as bilateral relations are concerned. You know all about what India's intent is and what their attempts have been in the past and how they were responded to. So that border with India is an enemy border with Afghanistan is a border that we really cannot trust. And then you have a border with Iran, which is attacked by Israel, and the nuclear question is popping up in this entire attack. That's not the kind of neighborhood you want to be in. But as I say, you do not choose your neighbors. You do not choose your geography. You got to make the most of it. Pakistan has condemned it, has laid down the red line. The Senate has passed an immediate resolution. The Prime Minister has spoken, the Deputy Foreign Minister has spoken, opposition leaders have spoken, parliamentarians have spoken. Everybody seems to be in on this thing that this is unacceptable. So that's the starting point for Pakistan, that this kind of an attack on Iran is totally unacceptable. We will never endorse it, always condemn it, but obviously we do not control the consequences of this attack.